Good morning, folks, and we're going to look at a post on the StarTrek.com website, and it's a post by Ruth Terry, and she's talking about the psychology of Picard, of the Picard TV show, and that's cool. I think it's good to do these things. That's kind of what I wanted the show to be about, the story of an old man in his old days, where he's retired and trying to figure out stuff and fix things. But this comes across as one of the worst, most biased analysis of either the character in the show. And you'll understand that just from the language they use to see where they sit on the political aisle. For whatever reason, these people are always on the left and won't shut up about these elements that are horrible to have in a story. Especially what happened to Picard. And that's just one of the many things that happened to Picard, with the strange direction the story has taken, the universe being different than what the Federation was supposed to be, the aliens, all the other things that don't make sense. This person applauds how good it is. Star Trek has always dealt in stories about interspecies and cross-cultural interactions, and the way each franchise tells these stories is a commentary on the era that produced them. Star Trek Picard is no exception. Exactly. It comes from Star Trek Discovery, the Kurtzman era, if we want to be accurate. In 2020, representation and inclusion have just as much, if not more, importance than diversity. Now, I want you to understand these three terms, because I cannot, for the life of me, see what the devil this person, Ruth, is trying to say. Representation, meaning you have marginalized groups and you want them to represent them more. So they're not being represented enough, all right? And inclusion. So there's other groups that are not being included enough, and you want them to be included. Unless I'm interpreting this wrong. And then we have the term diversity. Diversity, meaning people are diverse. You have people from different backgrounds. And again, these are all the same meaning. Representation, you want to represent people who are different. Inclusion, you want to include people who are different. Diverse people. You're all saying the same thing. And she is saying, in 2020, representation and inclusion have just as much, if not more, importance than diversity. So if these two things are more important than diversity, who are you representing that's not diverse? Or who are you representing if diversity is not as important? All the Chinese? All the various groups of the Chinese, or just a group of people from a culture? Same with inclusion. Aren't you doing, these are two verbs to me. You're representing someone, you're including someone. And all these someones are diverse. I don't understand what she's getting at with this sentence. What is more important and how when you're all saying the same thing? Claiming to be an ally to marginalized people without acknowledging your own privilege feels hollow. So already, as soon as she said the word privilege, you can stop reading. This person is insane. What the devil does acknowledging one's privilege, whatever that means, can make you claim to be an ally to marginalized people? Can't you just say, hey, we're two different people? You don't get as much representation as I do. You should be in Picard. Well, golly gee, let's do that. What a great basis for a character. They look different than you, I guess, or whatever categorization we have to, because who knows exactly what she's talking about with what's being represented, the hair follicles of the black people or the skin tone of the Europeans. Pick one. I don't know what we're talking about in this futuristic world where everyone got along. Picard's ensemble of writers and actors lead into all of this. That makes them bad writers. Even number one, the dog represents a marginalized community. Are you out of your mind, Ruth? A dog. You are trying to tell me Picard's pit bull or whatever it is a marginalized community. It's a dog. Ruth, are you a cat lady or a dog lady? Do you have stats on dogs, and then you have like stats on dogs in a fictional world hundreds of years in the future. You idiotic hack. What are you talking about? Serves up a multi-layered narrative because it has a marginalized dog. What a multi-layered narrative. Because you have a dog in it. Are you... God. Explores how power and privilege... Yes, the power and privilege of a frickin' dog. Thank you, Ruth. Great insight into Picard there. Play out relationships with people who are different. Hey, wow. Here's a brain aneurysm for you there, Ruth. Everyone's different. Even people within the same racial group. You might not have noticed, but they are. One of the reasons why they chose the synthetic storyline is because they're stupid. Is because it's about othering? What is othering? Othering. No, there's no such word as othering. Society is... She's saying exactly the same thing as all her other verbs and now... Othering that become very clear in the nowadays society are based on race, gender, social class, ethnicity, the othering of black... Okay, you're saying exactly... This is stupid. She is so ensconced in this left-wing progressive nonsense, this vocabulary that has no meaning, that is redundant. This is how she's seeing Picard. I guess that's what makes you enjoy Picard if you're a left-leaning ideologue. And these are the terms, the dog is a marginalized community. It has a power structure between Picard and the pet. Are you, like, what? Dr. Thomas Parham, an African-American communications professor and author of Hailing Frequencies, Open Communication, Star Trek Next Generation. It's all about othering. If anyone from the arts or sociology starts analyzing Star Trek The Next Generation and uses the term othering, stop listening to them. You're wasting your time. And I'm sorry I'm wasting your time, but this is how insane the blog of StarTrek.com has become if they allow nonsense like this to pop in. While TNG positions Captain Picard as an ally to marginalized groups, from Klingons to androids, Picard challenges him to check the privilege he's enjoyed. What? What privilege? Everyone has the same privilege in the future. We've eliminated poverty and money and jobs and all these other resources because they're in abundance. We can synthesize food out of thin air. Well, not literally out of thin air, but it looks like that way. He's an able-bodied male earthling of elevated Starfleet rank. For one, no, he's not. He's an old man. Number two, he has no Starfleet rank. He retired. Here, 6 times Picard called Picard out during... So here we go. This is as if we need to check everyone's privilege and call them out for being male, white, and old, which makes them privileged. Picard is finally getting old. Wow, what a great character development. Time has passed. Patrick Stewart got old. That's great, Ruth. I'm glad you have eyes and you could understand the passage of time. What a great character. It's fantastic. Yes, he's 93. Yes, thank you. Picard still seems to view himself as at least a little immortal. He embarks on a mission with a brain abnormality that could kill him, as warns. Being agile and able-bodied is a privilege Picard has taken for granted. Are you out of your damn mind, Ruth? I think an elderly man would figure out, hey, I'm not as fast and supple as I used to be. What's up? Why am I drinking so much wine and sitting in this rocking chair and not running around the house? I have successfully checked my privilege by growing old. Even after his Borg assimilation and the lack of it becomes a crucial plot device. Yes, I'm sure it does. No, it doesn't. I don't think she knows what plot devices are. But, when you use 3 words that all mean the same thing, and then privilege pop, it's like, okay, yep. Picard is no longer relevant. Yeah, the show has no longer become relevant since it started. Not being relevant is the ultimate slap in the face for high-profile people used to calling the shots. Picard is visibly bothered when a Starfleet receptionist asks for his name and he arrives for his meeting with Admiral Clancy. She, too, takes him down a peg, calling out his sheer effing hubris. Because that's exactly what the Admiral of Starfleet would say to a very respected old man. For even showing up with a request for a reassignment, calling this Tal Shiar conspiracy theory the delusions of a once great man desperate to matter. All she had to do was sort of chuckle and say, "Oh, Picard, you crazy old dog. There's no conspiracy against the Federation from the Tal Shiar. That's just poppycock." And then you could have a nice little tit for tat. And they say, "Hey, well, maybe we'll do some investigations for you, old boy. Just because we love you so much," and then do nothing, just to appease Picard. If that was the thing, a respected head of the Federation, but instead she swears at him and just gets angry, and you're like, this is not believable. People in the future would not behave this way. People in the Star Trek Next Generation show who were friends never behaved this way. But admirals and retired, you treated these guys with respect. You saw that the first episode with, was it McCoy? He was on the show. Data was walking him up and down, and even McCoy was like, "You got to treat the lady with respect. She'll take you where you need to go." He was talking about a ship. You were talking about Picard, one of the most biggest names in the Star Trek lore. And then you have this crazy old lady screaming at him. Ironically, Picard seems to have thought that asking for temporary reinstatement of skeleton crew in a low-class ship was an act of humility. In a way, though, Picard's irrelevance works out in his favor, since his eventual crew only really identifies with his mission when it becomes clear that it's a lost cause. So apparently, because it was a good thing that this lady screamed at him, because he ended up finding a crew that actually believed in his mission. Okay, I mean, it would have been great if you had a trained Starfleet crew who did things out of duty because that's their job. But hey, getting a bunch of individuals and a skeleton crew or makeshift crew, that's even better. Bravo, story. Glad Picard got his way. It's like, if everything's going to go Picard's way anyway, what's the point? How is that a point of conflict? It's like, oh, well, he's got to get a starship. He gets one. Great. His resignation wrecked his relationships. Okay. I mean, that would have been a good selling point for the show if that's what the show was about, but it wasn't. It was about androids being bad, and there's a big Mass Effect villain who's going to come and eat everyone because humans are bad. For Raffi and Elnor, Picard's resignation had far more dire consequences than irrelevance. Picard finally does try to reconnect with them. They're not having it, and with good reason. While he's been riding out his post-resignation massive pity party and shame spiral, this I don't remember, and this is a quote, so I don't know where exactly this is coming from. Picard was in a pity party and shame spiral? He was just sitting on his ass. He was like, I'm waiting to die. Like, yeah, well, then you got off your ass and did something. In luxurious Chateau Picard, Raffi's been sinking into the depths of humiliation, rage, and substance abuse, something she's already struggled with. She doesn't mince words when Jael shows up asking for help. I'd show you around my estate, but it's more of a hovel, and that would be humiliating, she tells him bitterly, which doesn't make any sense. In the future, when the whole point of your existence is to better yourself, you would have had counselors knocking on your door wanting to make sure you're okay. You would have had the capacity to live in any house you wanted, own any stuff, any kind of things, because you could replicate it, and you could own property if you wanted it. This whole comment reeks of people not understanding the world of Star Trek, the future world, this idealized reality where everyone's there for everyone else's benefit to make ourselves better. And Raffi is the one who doesn't fit. She's the one who's saying all this crazy shit. You didn't have to live in a hovel there, Raffi. You could have lived elsewhere. Picard didn't have to live on his chateau. It's kind of nice. He had one. It was his family's chateau. That's kind of cool. Just like what this whole setting doesn't make sense. Elnor, on the other hand, clocks Picard for his broken promises, the ultimate sight, considering the value system of absolute candor. Yeah, Elnor doesn't make too much sense. Absolute candor, or tying yourself to unwinnable causes, or whatever the term was. Fortunately for Picard, they do eventually both come around, a testament to their forgiveness and resilience. Oh, he had emotions, but then it went away. That's great. And he just keeps messing up. I don't think he really does. I think people just don't like him because that's what the script told them. That's all. Picard doesn't really so much mess up as show up and say, "Hey, I'm Picard. Can I help you?" You're like, "No, you're an old white man." If Picard materializing on Vashti bedecked in classic colonizer garb isn't a harbinger of poor choices and broken promises to come, I don't know what is. Ruth, you are a hack. This is a man wearing a white suit and a white hat. This is not colonizer garb. This is the future, and it's sunny outside in a tropical climate. People wear white. You go to Africa, you go to America in the summertime, you go to South America, people wear white. Because if you wear dark colors in the sun, you get really, really hot. Colonizer garb. Watch a show of Poirot where any people go to Egypt on vacation or what have you. Everyone's wearing white. Well, most people are wearing white. Poirot is wearing white because he's a stylish man. Okay? There's nothing wrong with wearing white. White does not make you a colonizer. You crazy lunatic. In absolute candor, we see the big picture fallout of Picard's resignation, millions of Romulans without a Federation advocate, and access to vital resources. So, yeah, sorry, Romulans, we didn't have all the resources to help you out. We had to put you somewhere. Our apologies. We just saved your life. You're welcome. Still on a return trip, 14 years in the making, Saint Picard is back with peak privilege. All right, you know what? I'm done here. Ruth is a freaking hack, a left-leaning ideologue, and she just can't start dripping over all the words in her brain she can't wait to use. This is a shit show with a shit blog with a shit poster. That's all I have to say. This is horrible crap. Sorry for wasting your time, everyone, but thanks for listening. Have yourself a better morning than I'm having.